Marco Polo's travels were not just a testament to his bravery, but also a precursor to the brutal colonization and exploitation of Asia by European powers, which would ultimately lead to the deaths of millions of innocent people. The romanticized version of Marco Polo's journey, as a daring adventurer who opened up the East to the West, has been etched in our collective imagination, but the truth is far more sinister. Born in 1254 in the Republic of Venice, Marco Polo was raised in a family of merchants who had already established trade relationships with the Byzantine Empire and the Middle East. His father, Niccolo, and uncle, Maffeo, had traveled to China in 1260, where they met with Kublai Khan, the founder of the Yuan dynasty, and returned to Venice with a letter from the Khan, inviting the Pope to send a delegation to China. The Polos set out on their journey in 1271, accompanied by Marco, who was just 17 years old at the time, and two Dominican friars, who were tasked with converting the Mongols to Christianity. As they traveled along the Silk Road, they witnessed the brutal suppression of local populations by the Mongol Empire, which had been responsible for the deaths of tens of millions of people. The Mongols were known for their ruthlessness, using terror and violence to subjugate the populations they conquered, and the Polos were likely complicit in these atrocities, as they benefited from the Mongol Empire's protection and trade agreements. As they approached the court of Kublai Khan, the Polos were struck by the Khan's vast wealth and power, which was built on the backs of the enslaved and oppressed populations of China. The Khan's court was a place of opulence and extravagance, where the ruling elite lived in luxury, while the common people suffered and toiled. Marco Polo was fascinated by the Khan's power and wealth, and he quickly became a favorite at court, learning the Mongol language and customs, and even becoming a trusted advisor to the Khan. However, beneath the surface of the Khan's court, a darker reality lurked. The Mongols were known for their use of torture and execution to maintain control, and the Polos would have been aware of these practices. In fact, Marco Polo's own writings describe the use of torture and execution by the Mongols, including the practice of pouring molten metal into the mouths of prisoners. The Polos' complicity in these atrocities is a dark stain on their legacy, and it is a testament to the brutal nature of the Mongol Empire. As the Polos traveled throughout the Mongol Empire, they witnessed the devastating impact of the Black Death, which had spread from China to Europe, killing an estimated 75 to 200 million people. The plague had a profound impact on the social and economic structures of the societies they visited, leading to widespread poverty, famine, and social unrest. The Polos would have seen firsthand the horrific conditions in which people lived and died, and the brutal measures that were taken to contain the plague, including the burning of entire cities and the slaughter of infected populations. Despite the brutality and devastation they witnessed, the Polos continued to trade and profit from the Mongol Empire, amassing a vast fortune and gaining a reputation as shrewd and cunning merchants. However, their success came at a terrible cost, as they contributed to the exploitation and oppression of the local populations, and helped to perpetuate the cycle of violence and terror that characterized the Mongol Empire. The Polos' journey eventually came to an end, and they returned to Venice in 1295, where they were greeted as heroes. However, their legacy is complex and multifaceted, and it is marked by the brutal realities of the Mongol Empire and the devastating impact of the Black Death. Marco Polo's writings, which were dictated to a fellow prisoner while he was in jail in Genoa, provide a unique glimpse into the world of the Mongol Empire, but they also reveal a darker reality, one of violence, exploitation, and terror. As we reflect on the legacy of Marco Polo, we are forced to confront the brutal realities of the past, and the ways in which the actions of individuals and empires have shaped the course of human history. The story of Marco Polo is a cautionary tale, reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the devastating consequences of exploitation and oppression. It is a story that haunts us to this day, a reminder of the darker aspects of human nature, and the devastating impact that our actions can have on the world around us. And as we look back on the journey of Marco Polo, we are left with a haunting question: what other secrets lie hidden in the shadows of history, waiting to be uncovered?